Hey guys, this is Cam for 15 and I'm back at it with another video for you guys, and this is another One Piece anime episode review. And just like that, One Piece anime ends off on a pretty fairly decent note as we finally get the end to Act number 2. Man, this episode was good because it's just a build up to what we're gonna see going forward with the Battle of Onigashima, which I cannot wait to see animated. I've only seen a little bit of it. I've only seen a little bit of what's going on in the manga, not currently, but like the first, first few stuff kicking up in the first part of the manga in terms of the Battle of Onigashima, and I can't wait. We just have to get past this backstory and we'll be there. But the end of Act 2 is here. And let's talk about this because this episode was kind of the preparations getting ready for the Battle of Onigashima. Anyways, the episode starts off, or well, first things first. This is episode One Piece anime episode 956. The episode starts off with Kawamatsu essentially telling the other scabbards that Hiyori is alive, and they get so emotional and stuff like that. And essentially the reason why Hiyori didn't come with Kawamatsu and Zoro is because she doesn't want to see them now, so she doesn't, want them to be so emotional before the big battle. And plus, she even said earlier a few weeks ago I forgot what episode it was, but a few weeks ago, that she doesn't want to see them till after Wano is saved, and she even bows, her head towards Zoro and Kawamatsu by asking them please save the country and stuff like that. So yeah, now there was a funny moment where we see, I guess, a little thing where Momo hears about this, and he remembers back to a time when they were like younger. Well, she was younger, and she would give him like this drop kick to the face, and then that's when he kind of goes up to Zoro. He thanks her for saving her and stuff like that, and he even says like, yeah, she's kind of a little rough around the edges, but she's still a good person with a good heart. And that's when Zoro's like, dude, you do know your sister's like 18 years older than you. Like, she is vastly older than you. And that's when he gets the idea, and he just pictures in his head an older Hiyori just kicking him just like if she was younger. He's like, I can't do that, and stuff like that. So that was pretty nice. Again, I get freaking Zoro x Hiyori vibes from their relationship, which honestly I'm down to see that happen. One, Zoro's also a good, I guess you can say, brother-in-law in a way. It's still gonna be weird because even though realistically wise, Momo's the older brother to Hiyori. Technically, just make it the opposite way. Momo should just kind of be the younger brother to Hiyori, even though it makes no damn sense. But okay. Another funny thing about this is when Sanji heard this whole information, he's like, wait, that girl you were with that entire time was his sister? And then he kind of tries to do the whole sucker up thing to Momo, so I guess you can say in a way hook up with his sister, because we all know Sanji hates Momo because he was always pushing his face into freaking Nami and Robin's boobs, and he would just be there watching it wishing that was him. And now look at him, he's sucking up to Momo, be like, is there anything would you like, Momo? So he can try to hook up with his damn sister. How cold is that? Wow. Now, anyways, Hitetsu actually comes back, and eventually what Okiku does is actually gives Kutetsu the second, which Luffy stole at the beginning of this arc after first meeting Otama. He gives it back to Hitetsu, and then that's when we also find out that he was holding the swords that Oden passed down to Hiyori and Momonosuke. So that's when he manages to give Enma to Zoro, and essentially he says that the only person who managed to use Enma effectively was Oden himself, and even people before that couldn't handle Enma and stuff like that. And then we see the crazy potential in there, how hard this sword is to handle, because Zoro uses the sword and he literally cuts off a chunk of a freaking cliff off this freaking piece of land in Wano. And at the same time, you see this man's, because Momo's like, yo, look at Zoro's arm. You see this man Zoro's arm look damn near sucked up, like, all the moisture out of his arms are sucked up, and like the hockey is literally squeezing the ever-living life out of his arm and stuff like that. Eventually, Zoro gets it back to his regular shape and stuff like that, and we find out the reason of what happened. We find out that Enma essentially sucks out the owner's Ryu as it pleases, and it also cuts more than the average sword that would cut and stuff like that. He also does go on, Hitetsu actually goes on to actually say that a regular swordsman, after using that sword, would have probably dried up and collapsed because of the power of handling the sword would be too much for the user. So it goes to show how strong Zoro is, and it also, you know, puts the potential or possibility of Zoro potentially also using Ryo as well as Luffy. So obviously, you know, and you see him for the rest of the episode kind of training to use the sword better and stuff like that. So that is very freaking interesting to see, and it goes to show that this sword definitely lives up to the hype or definitely lives up to the name of where people barely could use this thing. So, you know, Zoro's eventually going to master how to use the swords, the ins and out of the swords, but, you know, it was crazy. The animation for it was gosh dang beautiful. Anyways, we cut over to the Udon prison. We see Luffy transform into Gear 4th, and he actually can use Ryu in Gear 4th as well. Now, he tries doing that, but the same thing happens. He ends up just physically breaking, I guess, the metal wall thing. And Hiyu says he's straining himself too much. Now, at that time period, they have 3 days left. They call over to Frankie building, you know, building the ships with the other people who are fixing up the ships and stuff like that, so they're hurrying up. Robin talks to Kinemon, and essentially Robin, because Kinemon asked him like how many people will be at Onigashima at the fire festival, and Robin essentially says there will be 20,000 beast pirates there, and Orochi will have 10,000 companions there. So essentially the total will be, there's going to be 30,000 enemies that they're gonna have to go up against on Onigashima, which is freaking crazy, because then we later find out the total, you know, people we have in our force is only 4,000, which 30,000 to 4,000, that's not really playing into your favor, if I might say so myself. And they're vastly outnumbered. Like 30,000 to 4,000, that's legit like the smallest nation, the smallest country going against one of the most highly popularized nations. And Kinemon's like, well, we got all the allies we can get, and, you know, we're just gonna have to deal with it, and, you know, screw it. We're just gonna deal with it. We do cut over to a little training montage between Zoro and Momo, and essentially, Zoro tells Momo that he learned the word Tsunachi from an old man in his village. Now, I think the reference in the fact from his old village back in the East Blue, his old master, and I also do think they make another reference to that later in the episode, which we'll talk about later. Now, 2 days before the raid, Otama, Chopper, and Luffy go back to the little base holdout that they're at. Otama finally reunites with Hitetsu, and that's a nice little sweet thing. Kinemon also talks to the other bosses of the other regions. And actually, I forgot to no, I'm on the right trail. Kinemon actually talks to the other bosses of the other regions. And essentially, the other regions say, yes, and we got some reinforcements, and in total, for all of us, we got 200, you know, extra men to join the cause. So now, they have a total of 4,200 allies in their cause. And essentially, you know, what happens in the next scene is one of their allies is seeing that the other troops that were captured earlier, the other rebel, you know, allies that they had are still in the prison, and they don't look like they're gonna get out anytime soon. And essentially Kinemon's like, well, then we're just gonna have to leave them, even though they're like gonna be, that they were some of our best troops too to help us in this thing. And yeah, so I don't know. Now, we don't know where Law is. They do mention Law, because they're like, what about Law? He's gonna always be added to the function. And we saw Law escape. We don't know how Law's gonna come back into the fold, essentially, but maybe he might free them. Who knows? We'll just have to find out going forward and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyways, at the end of that, Kinemon tells everybody who's not at the home base to prepare and be ready to arrive at the port to make sure you're ready for the raid. Then the day before the raid, the scabbers we have in our group, including Momonosuke, they all leave to get prepared and end up at the port first, so they can have everything situated and stuff like that. You have a nice, touching goodbye for Luffy and Kinemon at the time being, and they essentially say, you know, Luffy essentially saying, we won't fail you on this and stuff like that, and, you know, saying their goodbyes till they meet up in a day and stuff like that. Now, this is when we get an interesting comment made by Hitetsu talking to Zoro, saying that Zoro is holding Kitetsu the Third, and he says that he actually made Kitetsu the Third, which is very freaking interesting, because that ended up in freaking East Blue, in Logtown. Now, he also does mention that Enma follows the same logic as the other cursed swords, so the same thing that, you know, if you're too weak to handle them, you can end up dying and stuff like that, so, yeah. He also goes on to mention that Enma and Wado Ichimonji, which is Zoro's sword he got from Kuina's dad, were made by the same person. The swordsmith that made those swords are Shimotsuki Kozuburo. And essentially, he also goes on to say that more than half a century ago, he illegally departed from Wano. And essentially, he goes on to say that, you know, the swords were found in the arm. Then he said a man. I didn't think he meant him. I'll have to rewatch the episode, but I think he said him. He said more than half a century ago, he illegally departed from Wano. So, thing why that I say that it could have ties to Zoro's old village is the old guy had the Wano Ichimonji. So I wonder if Zoro's old master back in the East Blue was essentially, I guess you can say, a guy whose family used to live in Wano, who then, you know, came to the East Blue. The same thing could be held for the Kitetsu the Third. That was definitely taken illegally, and it could have been taken by the same guy and must have sold it to someone else. Which we all found out that it landed up in Logtown, and because it's a cursed sword, nobody was willing to deal with it because it was a cursed sword. So, yeah, very much interesting points of the fact that Zoro's master could definitely be a descendant of a very, you know, of someone from the Wano country. So that's very interesting. So yeah, he also does go on to mention that Enma is not a Black Blade, and he tells him, like, based on Zoro's determination and really based on Zoro himself, it can potentially be raised to that rank, and Zoro is willing to give it a try and make it to that rank. You do cut over to see Luffy training his Rio better, and it seems like he's gotten the gist of it, because now, you know, he's not really indirectly hitting on it. It's actually a force that's outputting on this tree he's using. Zoro's still training with Enma. You just have the other Straw Hats getting ready and prepared for everything going on and stuff like that. We come over to Orochi, and Orochi, he calls up Udon Prison, and the way he's speaking is a way of, he knows that Udon Prison is literally liberated, and there is no Beast Pirates really controlling Udon Prison. And the reason why he finds out is because apparently someone gave him information about what the hell is going on. Someone told him on this piece of paper about the information about the change from Habu Port to Tokage Port, and also the fact that Hiyori is somewhere is still alive somewhere up in the northern parts of Wano. So, okay, it seems like we got a traitor. Now, I definitely can say this is definitely not Law, because Law does not know the ins and out of the, essentially, he doesn't know the ins and out of the little change in the slip, because I don't even think he's even seen the slip up to this point. And two, he doesn't even know who Hiyori is. So I think we can rule him out as the, I guess you can say, a potential traitor. But it seems like there's someone within the ranks of this allies, this alliance going on, that somebody gave up this information. That will probably be revealed later, but that is the crazy thought that there is potentially a traitor among us, unless there is a super secret spy watching and our characters do not know. So yeah. I will say I do know who the traitor is, and for anime purposes only, I will not tell you who the traitor is. So we're just gonna have to wait till the time comes. But that is a very scary thought that Orochi knows everything about what's going on and stuff like that, and also the fact that he knows that Kinemon and the others are alive as well as Hiyori is still alive. So yeah, essentially on the day of the raid, that's when the episode essentially comes to an end, and that's when we get to the end of Act 2. You have the same music type of banjo thing playing like at the end of Act 1. The difference is it's not Kumurasaki. Well, yes, it's Kumurasaki, but Hiyori, this time she's not wearing her mask. She's just playing her banjo with no mask on, and stuff like that. So that's where Act 2 ends, and yeah, so Act 2 is finished. Act 2 ends on kind of a, I guess you can say 50-50. We're getting ready to prepare for the Battle of Onigashima. So the heroes have finally, I guess you can say, regrouped and are ready to fight against Kaido and put all their chips on the edge, while you have Kaido and Big Mom creating their alliance to essentially take over the world, as they much say. And again, that's the end of Act 2. Act 2, honestly, I thought wasn't as long as I thought, but it's still pretty long. So I guess if you've been checking out my One Piece arc reviews, I've been saying, like, when we get to Wano, we're going to handle in the arc system, me and my co-host. Next week, we're going to do our Act 1 review, and then I guess the week after, we're going to do our Act 2 review and have that up. And then, until Act 3 ends, we'll do our Act 3 review and stuff like that. Also at the end of the anime episode, they do advertise the fact that One Piece, in terms of the manga, next year will reach their 1000th chapter. So again, congrats to Ichiro Oda for getting this far in the storyline, and congrats to the One Piece manga for running 1000 freaking chapters, which is crazy to say. So if you are fans of the manga, obviously you're looking forward to that and stuff like that. And then in the next episode preview, it seems like we're gonna cut back, which, fun fact, last week I did do my Reverie, arc review, so please check that video out. We're gonna cut back to events that are taking place at the Reverie again and see what is going on, because apparently it seems like something's gonna be affecting the Seven Warlord system, and things are definitely gonna be changing in the One Piece world. So we're gonna cut back there, we're gonna get some world building, and I think after that we're gonna get to the Oden backstory, and then we'll get to the Battle of Onigashima. So it's gonna be a few weeks till we get to the, animated version of the Battle of Onigashima and stuff like that, because we're gonna just be getting stuff taking place about some leftover stuff about the Reverie, what's going on there currently, as well as we're getting the Oden backstory. But other than that, tonight's episode was good. Another thing I gotta say is, next week there will be no One Piece episode. There will be no One Piece episode, and I'm guessing it's because of the new year. There will be no One Piece episode next Saturday. One Piece, the anime, will be going on break, and we will be coming back, I believe. Let me check my calendar. We'll be coming back, not January 2nd. The anime will come back January 9th. So we're going on a 1-week break. Again, my thoughts. I think we can say One Piece deserves this 1-week break. All the voice actors deserve their break because they've been working their tails off after coming back from the pandemic and the outbreak. So again, credit these guys for working literally their butts off to give everybody the One Piece, anime that they love to see. So I think they deserve a break off. So it's obviously gonna be like a New Year's break off. So the anime will come back January 9th, but that's what I also wanted to say. There will be a One Piece anime break, so yeah. But anyways, if you guys like this video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this episode. Again, do not post spoilers regarding anything future events in the manga, because this is strictly only regarding the anime, so please do not put manga spoilers, especially who the traitor could be for the anime audience, stuff like that, as well as what are your thoughts on Act 2 of the anime if you're an anime-only fan? Did you enjoy it? Your thoughts on Act 2? Yada, yada, yada. And as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more One Piece content. Like I said, next week, look forward to me and my co-host, the Red Wolf, Wano Act 1 review. And then the week after, we'll kind of cut our arc reviews in terms of Wano Act 2 review, and then I'll also be reviewing the movies. So other than that, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Hopefully you guys are staying safe, and hopefully you guys have a great rest of your night. So I'll see you guys for the next One Piece episode on January 9th in the new year. But if you want to see it closer, I'll see you guys next Saturday for One Piece Wano Act 1 review. But other than that, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.